Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be the first video in probably a many-part series. I'm hoping to bring you guys a video a month following the progress on my brother's car, Red Forman, as we fabricate a twin turbo kit and do all the other necessary wiring and plumbing to get the car kind of back into top-notch shape and hopefully become a bit of a contender, not only locally but in the regional no prep scene. So make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. Probably hit that little bell notification deal so that as I post these uploads, you guys can know when to tune in to follow along with our progress. And hopefully we can keep the momentum going into the summer where we'll come with plenty of racing action. Thanks for watching. Got the old noisy welder turned off, but turned out all right. The metal was dirtier than I thought. Ended up wiping off the second side, but we'll see kind of how this sits in here. Oh man, it's probably hard to see. Gotta see how it's still a little warm. See how it sits in there and sits on that bar. So I'll end up grinding the paint back on that bar. We'll get this thing welded into there. But next I need to do the tank. Alright guys, so we've been bouncing around a little bit because I've only been able to work on this kind of in my free time. It's going to be like that a little bit until we can get the motor and trans in place, and then we can really start crack-a-lacking on the turbo kit. But I kind of wanted to show you what I've got for the intercooler tank. So I showed you this bracket that I was welding onto this bar earlier. That's all done. It's welded onto the bar. Obviously, nothing's painted right now. And then I took his aluminum intercooler tank that he bought secondhand, and I welded these 3/8-16 bungs onto here, and it's pretty stable. It should be able to hold that with no problem. Obviously that's a big concern because you're going to have anywhere between 15 to 20 pounds worth of water in that thing, and if you get in a serious crash you don't want that thing ripping off and hitting you in the back of the head. So other than that, obviously we'll have to mount the Davis Craig pump. Jake's got this deal for Motion Raceworks, so hopefully it'll make it easy to clock and kind of mount it wherever we want. And then we'll have to run all the water lines and the drain, which he's kind of already started on with some of this line that's coiled up in the trunk of the car. So, you know, honestly, a lot of that, the fuel line, the water line, and some of the electrical, that's all like last things you do. So we've got a little bit of time on that, but we'll keep crack-a-lacking on these little things until we can get the motor and trans here. What's up guys? So I am back from PRI and I'm going to see if I can get this changed out really quick tonight. It's the diaphragm for my fuel pressure regulator. And then I'm hoping to be able to do something kind of trick with dome pressure to test it out. So let's get started on that. So I'd almost guarantee that you should probably take this and wind it out. I was going to try not to do that because I don't want to lose what it was set to for fuel pressure, because otherwise come spring, you know, when the car's not running, you can set it, but when you fire it up, it's going to be different. And then that's usually where I set it, is when it's running. So that's kind of what my base map is set to. It's like that. So we'll see how big of a mess and how big of a giant pain in the butt this is going to be, cracking these loose and getting this taken apart. Give you a sneak peek at what this looks like inside here. So you can see right here, right, is actually where it sits on the seat. This is the diaphragm portion here, and what we're going to double check is that this isn't screwed in far enough to any sort of contact or issues. This diaphragm's pretty sticky. Let's go to the bench. So I got the old diaphragm off, got the new one on. I just put this in a vise with a set of aluminum vise jaws, because you got to take this apart, because this piece of aluminum actually sandwiches the diaphragm between this piece and here. Let's put it back together. Okay, that was pretty easy actually. It was super straightforward. Didn't really spill anything. So now we're going to check for leaks. Honestly, after looking at the diaphragm, I don't think that was the problem, but we'll give it a whirl. So, to show you kind of what I got going on here and what I'm going to try to do and see if it works. This line here is the CO2 dome pressure. Well, I use onboard air, but regardless, for the one wastegate. I took a new line where that line normally plugs into, and I ran that up to the top of the fuel pressure regulator. So then what I did is I came into my Howie. I've got my fuel pump prime turned up to like 5 minutes or something like that. I did it when I switched it to gasoline. It's a super long time. And then I went into my boost ramp for dome pressure, because I'm all just dome pressure. And you can see that this first one is my normal curve, and it's pretty stinking fast. And then I bring it back down for a couple seconds, and then I do a slow curve back up to that same 40 psi of dome pressure. And then we'll log it, and we'll see what it looks like on the fuel pressure sensor, which is actually on the fuel rail. So we'll give it a shot. Definitely working. Just a bit, it's real. Okay. All right, so let's look at this janky data log, see if I can find it. Fuel pressure test. Okay, what are we looking at here? My drag race deal. I got dome pressure enabled, fuel pressure. So this should be kind of a one-to-one. So out here, zero dome pressure, fuel pressure 0. Zero dome pressure 47 for fuel. And then it looks like it jumps up to 40. and 84. All right, so if I'm at 47, I go to 40 psi of dome pressure, right? I should be a little bit higher than that. Granted, this actually might be accurate because that was at 0 dome. So I would be closer to 40, 45 psi with the car running. So maybe 40 psi dome pressure and 84 psi is what we're looking for. So you can see on the back side it ramps down here. Maybe you can't tell. You probably see the lines. Probably can't see the numbers as well. See, as we click through, get down to about 20 psi dome, we're sitting at like 64, 66. See it bouncing around. So that should be about right. And then it should climb its way back up to that 40 psi number. There, 84 psi. You know what? This might actually have done the trick. And I hope that's the case, because otherwise I'm kind of grasping at straws. I already put a second MagnaFuel on it, which I don't think I really needed to do. The only other thing I could do besides this is that I currently run a dip tube because I run the fuel return into the top of the tank. And I run a dip tube, so like an aluminum tube all the way from the top down to about this far from the bottom, so that it's mostly always covered by fuel. I did that because some people told me that it's a really good idea to do that so it doesn't aerate your fuel. You know, mix whether you're just dropping it, you're just aerating it, you're also, you know, part of it's evaporating and all of that jazz. So I ran the dip tube, but recently my brother sent me some documentation. I believe it might have been by MagnaFuel that said don't do that. You should just run into the top of the tank and let it splash in. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be kind of the next thing, or really almost the last thing that I could try to get this thing to maintain fuel pressure. So far, the table I have built to act as a fuel pressure safety has worked magnificently. I will say that 40 psi of dome pressure, this has got to be the most fuel pressure I've ever seen on a log. So that makes me feel a little bit better. So I guess we'll see from there. Otherwise, I know this video is probably jumping around a lot. You know, we talked about Jake's ice tank. We've talked about, obviously, the fuel pressure. I probably mixed in some stuff from PRI, but I hope you enjoyed it. The next video will be getting Jake's engine, which is kind of in machine shop jail. We were supposed to get it potentially even this week, but now it sounds like it'll be a whole nother month. So it'll be getting Jake's motor. We'll bolt it up to the trans, we'll get it into the car, and then we'll start fabricating a turbo kit. So make sure you guys subscribe, like the videos, and maybe click the notification thing so that you can tell when I post my next video getting this aftermarket block engine into Jake's car. I appreciate it.